What's up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of AGR's Pop Culture Reviews. I'm sorry I've been away for so long. I had a really scraptacular, awesome time. My computer crashed, my microphone crashed, it was a real mess. But thank God for upgrading technology. I got a brand new MacBook Pro, so let's continue with the reviews. So today we're going to be reviewing the film Arrival. Now this film is very special in and of itself, and one of the reasons that I enjoyed this movie so much was because it really rejuvenated my faith in good science fiction films, particularly the alien invasion genre. Now if you recall, earlier this year I did my review on Independence Day Resurgence, which was a shitty movie, and I can't tell you how bad that film was. Well, actually you already know, you saw my review. Now this film is in the same theme, but oh my god, is it light years away, and this is how filmmaking in this genre should be done. First, I have to say that this movie was perfectly cast, and when I say that, it's just that there were such organic performances here from all three cast members, or at least the three headliners. Forest Whitaker was amazing, and what I liked about his performance is, for God's sakes, for once in this type of film, they portray soldiers, or at least officers, as human beings. They're not just a bunch of people who are stiffly standing around at attention all the time. I don't know why science fiction films do this, but Forest Whitaker was fantastic. I liked his temperament in the film. He really had a presence, and you know, he just elevated the film so much. He also wasn't this kind of militaristic, militant person all the time, and what I liked about it is that he had a good grasp of the implications of this kind of communication between an alien life form from another planet, and he understood the ramifications. I think that was perfectly done, and one of the reasons that this movie was so special. I absolutely loved Amy Adams in this role. She's a fantastic actress, and she has a lot of range. One of the reasons that she was so brilliant in this performance is that she was multi-dimensional, very similar to a lot of the themes in the film. She's recruited by the military because she's a linguist to try to decipher some of the messages that the aliens are giving to the humans. It turns out that their form of communication is basically on a whole nother level in terms of its complexity, and they're really a bunch of symbols, and they have such subtle nuances that you might get something wrong. It's very similar to a form of calligraphy, which was fascinating. Now, one of the reasons that I loved Amy Adams' character in this film is because how she responds to a certain trauma that happens to her earlier on in the film. Now, I use that term loosely, particularly given the quantum mechanics that happen in this film, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but I will say this. The fact that it wasn't contrived and it wasn't used as a plot device to help you relate to the character or feel sorry for her was absolutely brilliant. And here's the thing, the payoff at the end of this film is so amazing and so profound. I'm glad that they did this. Jeremy Renner was also very great in this movie, and you know, he was one of those actors that I was afraid was going to be typecast as a total badass in Hollywood. Thankfully, he's making the right decisions in terms of some of the materials that he wants to work with. And here's the thing, he was so understated, and that actually elevated his performance. He's kind of a dork in this movie without being a caricature, and I think he blurred that line really well. Jeremy Renner plays a very brilliant mathematician in the film, and although I mentioned before his character was somewhat understated, he actually plays a very pivotal role in the film. Now, as I hope you already know this, but the language of mathematics is the only true universal language, and that plays a serious part in this film. I also have to give so much props to the cinematographer in this film. You know, many times with films of this nature, they are so quick to have a bunch of images that kind of flash before you, and the way they cut the film is really bizarre and somewhat jarring sometimes. What I loved about this film is that they really took their time with the imagery, with what you were looking at, to really soak in the implications of what's going on, you know, the fact that you're having first contact with another life form, and they did it so well. It was beautiful to watch. You know, it's kind of hard to talk about all the themes that are present in this film without spoiling anything, but I will talk about a few of them. Basically, you know, you have to understand what are the psychological, sociological, and religious implications if one day there was an alien ship that arrived and landed on the White House lawn, so to speak. How would that change our fundamental understanding of the universe and where we fit into it in the great scheme of things? Now, you also have to consider the implications to the very nature of humanity itself. some people seem to suggest that the fact that we have this revelation now that there are in fact intelligent forms of life in the universe might unite humanity in unprecedented ways. Me personally, I'm a little more skeptical, especially given our long history of interacting with other cultures for the first time. And this film really explores that theme brilliantly, especially in the form of communication and how easily it is to misinterpret a very significant word in our language. Think of the syntax and the subtle nuances, particularly the context in which you are trying to convey a message to somebody. Sometimes the context can be completely off and you might mean something completely different, even hostile, and that's one of the things that this film highlights. You know, it's interesting, but one of the most significant communications that happen in the film that's so emotional is an interaction that Amy Adams has with one of the aliens. And when we talk about universality in terms of how you communicate, they don't actually have a lot of dialogue, and it's very subtle and quick in the film, but in that one moment, you see the universality of suffering and of empathy, and it's probably one of the most profound dialogues you will ever see in a film of this type, definitely in the science fiction and alien arrival genre. It was truly amazing, and I hope that you guys can appreciate it in the film. Guys, ultimately, Arrival is one of the best science fiction films I've seen in a very long time. Now, I'm not sure if it's Oscar contender worthy, but the performances are absolutely amazing. The themes that they choose to explore in this film are so profound, it's not even funny, and I think that it's not lost on most audiences. I actually think that basically all of the rave reviews that this film are getting, and the fact that it's scoring so high with so many critics, really means that it resonated with audiences, particularly given our current strife right now in our country. So I hope you guys check it out. It's a fantastic film. Alright guys, so that's my official review on the film Arrival. As always, I thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next AGR's Pop Culture Reviews.